What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Are You Serious? Happy Friday. It's Good Friday. Hope everybody's having a fantastic week. And back with another quarantine episode, of course. So today we have a guest. For me, it's Coach Shirley, Mr. Shirley, and we got Josh Shirley on the show. Thank you for coming on the show with us. But we're going to ask you some questions, because you coach basketball. I played basketball, and our season got cut short after we had just knocked off Parsons, the number 1 seed. And it was kind of traumatic for all of us, I think, for a time. But so now that you've had a few weeks for it to kind of settle, what are your thoughts on the whole situation now?
Oh, I mean, it goes back and forth, I would say. There's several times that, you think obviously what's best for our society was for it to get shut down and all that. But I'd be lying if I didn't say there were some days where you imagine what could have been, what, was left right in front of you. And I mean, it's tough. You can have the best team in the state, and it's tough to get to the Final Four. So to be in the Final Four, having won the game, left that night, and then find out later that night that it's canceled is tough. It doesn't matter, that it's the betterment of society. It's still tough. So I would say, it puts some perspective into it now, especially with everything else that's happened in our country afterwards. But I'd be lying if I didn't say it wasn't tough. And some days I still think, man, what could have been?
Absolutely. You got anything, Trystan, right now?
Yeah. So I was going to think, what would be your favorite moment of the season? Would be that win over Parsons, that Clearwater win, get that revenge?
There was so many great moments this year, and I think a lot of it stems from, I always had high expectations for this team, but I can tell you, outside noise had very little expectation for what we had, especially what we graduated the year previous. So, some of the best moments are obviously, for the first time in a long time, we beat everybody in our league. Everybody in our league we beat. Collegiate and Andale on the road. That Andale on the road game, I think, was the first since 2007 or something like that, or maybe it was 10, I can't remember. But it was over a decade. So that was a big win. I really think the Ulysses game was a really big win as well, because, without that win, obviously we don't go play Clearwater, and we hadn't won a home game since December at that point. So getting that win was very crucial. And I mean, I don't know if there's anything sweeter than winning a game at state. So that'd probably be the top for me, is beating Parsons on that stage. Like I said earlier, that's really tough to do. Some really, really good teams, like Bishop Miege a year ago, can't even win a game at state or even get to state. So that's tough to do. It's extremely tough to do. So being able to do that was huge. So there's just so many at Collegiate, at Andale, at Clearwater, you name it. There were special moments throughout all of the season this year.
I spoke to a couple of coaches for some bite pieces that I wrote that viewed their season. That they called themselves state champions because they ended the season on a win. I'm not sure if I can agree with that or not, but how do you view your team and that you did in a season on a win, which, it's like you're in the Final Four, but you ended on a win. So how do you view the end result of the year?
I mean, I'm pretty sure it was LeBron James who said it just feels unfinished, I guess. You're proud of everything that happened. It's been a good year, but all in all, it feels unfinished. And, I've had a lot of people who have tried to console us with, hey, you ended your season on a win. Not many people can ever say that, but it still feels a little bit shallow. I mean, I know they're trying to help us out and they're trying to, bring the positive into it, but it's still tough because, yeah, you end your season on a win, but you don't know what could have been. I don't necessarily think of us as 100% state champions. Obviously, we have as much claim to it as anybody else in the Final Four, but it just feels unfinished. It just feels like there's something left there, and you never really get the closure. And I mentioned to somebody before that's maybe one of my biggest problems with the year overall, is that closure piece, and not just playing another game, but the fact that after that game, I never addressed our team again. I never had the chance to be in front of our team again. I mean, it was over. That was it. We didn't come back to the school. We haven't been back to the school since. I've texted them, called a few of them, but it's not like you had that one final team banquet, team huddle, team anything. That was it. It was over. It was done. So I just feel it's unfinished, and you didn't get that closure, really. So, we'll always be a part of something special. 2020 is going to be in the history books forever, obviously. You wish this Rose Hill basketball team could have been in the history books for other reasons, as far as, first state title in school history. But we do have that historical aspect to be a season that everybody's always going to remember. But it doesn't make it any easier, for sure.
I'm an alumni now. I'm a Rose Hill Rocket basketball alumni back in the day. So I'll ask you. So after this year's team went to state, how do you look to build on that in continuing years, like continue that momentum?
It's going to be tough. I think it's going to be tough on several aspects, especially because I really think I pride this program, and you've been through it now for 4 years. I really pride on our improvement and how much better players get as they stay in our program. And we had several guys this year step up who played predominantly JV, but they were there all summer. Now the question is, do we even have a summer as far as getting better and building better basketball players? So, next year it'll be different, obviously. Things will change. We hope that we've built a tradition. We always say we want to be challenging for league titles, always giving ourselves a chance to play for state. It's been now in the 5 years, we've had 3 years now that we've played. In my 5 years, we've had 3 years that we've played for a sub-state title. It'd be great if we keep that expectation and build on that. But it's going to be different for sure. And just the uncertainty in the air is what makes it feel that way. It's kind of hard to think about next year with all the uncertainty of everything else of, what's going on.
Okay, so I'm going to sway away now from the high school basketball scene. I know you're one of you might be the biggest March Madness fan I know. I know Browning is a big fan, but you are just this is like everything for you. I know you love March Madness. So how have you coped with not having any college basketball, especially not just college basketball, but March Madness, the almost biggest basketball scene in the country?
Honestly, I started remodeling my whole basement. That's the only way I got through. Because I know a lot of people are watching the rerun games and all that. And I haven't been able to get into that, especially during this. It's not live. It's not going on, actually. It's just it's tough because, again, the whole season feels unfinished. I know a lot of other people in Kansas are upset because KU had the chance to maybe win the title. That's not me because I'm not a KU guy. It's just gosh, I don't know what I did with my March, and it was gone. So
if I can even get away from sports for a minute, being a teacher and not having to have the traditional setting of school, from middle of March until the end of the school year. I know we've had conversations before about how this all looks and all the different layers to it. But on a personal level, how have you been able to deal with losing the normalcy and the routine of it, going to school, going to work every day? Because for me, it's been a significant challenge.
Challenge is the best word. I've struggled pretty mightily with the whole idea of not going to school and online schooling. I mean, it is doing what it needs to do, I guess, in this time of quarantine. It doesn't even come close to matching what schools can do. Some of the most terrifying things I've kind of read or seen are some people saying, oh, this could change the way that schools are done, in the future. That terrifies me as a teacher because the best part about coming to school is seeing students and interacting with students. And content's important, but that interaction is more important. That's what's bothered me more than anything is there isn't that interaction anymore. You're just, you can type some emails or do this Zoom meeting. This isn't the same as being there, being with kids, working with kids. It's been tough. I mean, it's been very tough as far as not being able to come into work and see everybody you're used to seeing every day.
Absolutely. So for any getting away from that now, are there any sports in the sports world, famous things I've sticking out to any of you guys right now? Trystan, I know you probably have to have one. You're always.
What was there? Oh, that trade, What was it, Woods? Got traded to
Oh.
Houston for a second-round pick from
No,
the
it's
Rangers.
Cooks.
Brandon Cooks.
Or
Yeah.
Cooks. The Cooks? It was Cooks. Okay, yeah, Cooks got traded.
See,
You know,
I tell you, and
One
it goes back to you asked Coach Shirley about March Madness and what you're doing to fill the void. Like I feel like whenever the NFL draft is, I think it's in a couple weeks, that even people who are just marginal NFL fans, marginal football fans, will want something, so they'll probably tune in. It's
I would probably.
yeah. I mean, I don't really care if I'm being honest with you, but I just need something at this point, and hopefully that
first round picks.
we can withstand this, and sometime in the next couple of 3 months get back to some kind of live sporting events. But I don't know.
Well, the biggest one that just broke that was interesting to me is the XFL laying everybody off. That was interesting because Vince McMahon was adamant that this thing was going to last, and now there's no plans for a 2021 season. That whole thing I'll be honest, I didn't watch a single game because I don't need that much football, but just interesting that thing may have gone under due to this.
Yeah, only person that watched the XFL was Will Kane, probably every single day. But other than that, we can wrap it up, I believe. I'm gonna throw this on real quick.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna throw this on.
There it is. Okay,
I got to represent now. I'm rocking both of my previous two. Not previous, one is current now, but other than that, I don't think there's anything else going on. So, Coach Shirley, thank you for joining us today. It was a blast having you on, talking about the season and whatnot. But other than that, have a fantastic weekend, everybody, and we will see you guys back again on Tuesday. Peace out.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.